Hey guys, it's Geography Lover here. Welcome back to another brand new video. And today we're looking at Olympic host cities from the year 2000 to this year, 2026. We are not going to go into the Olympics before 1998 and beyond. If you want to look at those resources, you can go on Wikipedia or any other sources on the Olympics website. So let's get started. So our first Olympics that we are looking at is the 2000 Sydney Summer Olympics in Sydney, Australia, which took place from September 15th to October 1st of 2000. And this was the first time that the Olympics took place in the Southern Hemisphere, as the Olympics on here, you wouldn't think are normally in the summer, but since Australia's seasons are different from the Northern Hemisphere, their seasons are a little different. So in the Northern Hemisphere summer, it would be Australia's winter. So this Olympics would actually be in their spring, not in the summer. But for the rest of the world, it was considered summer, so that is why the Olympics were so late at this time. The next Olympics took place in 2002 in Salt Lake City, Utah, from February 8th to February 24th of 2002. It was in the state of Utah, of course, as I said, in its capital city, Salt Lake City, which is right next to the Great Salt Lake. And it was the first time that a Western Rocky state had hosted it. Other states, including California, had hosted it twice, and Los Angeles. St. Louis, Missouri had hosted it, Atlanta, Georgia, and of course Lake Placid in New York had hosted it, but this was the first time that a more rocky state hosted it in Salt Lake City in the United States. The next Olympics took place in 2004 in Athens, Greece, which was the original birthplace of the Olympics, of the modern Olympics in 1896, but it was the second time it hosted it in 2004, from August 13th to August 29th of that year. And Athens is also the capital of Greece, of the modern Greek state, and still remains a very culturally important city to the Olympics as well. The next Olympics took place in Torino in Italy in 2006, from February 10th to February 26th of that same year. And Torino is actually the word of the English translation would be Turin in central Italy, but because the Italians like to have their language respected, the city was called Torino, and the Olympics itself were called Torino, just like the modern Olympics today that are in Italy actually this year, which I'll get to in a minute. We are referring to it as the Italian translation of Torino. So not Turin like it's said in English, but Torino. And the next Olympics took place in 2008 in Beijing, China, which is the current capital of the People's Republic of China. And the Olympics took place from August 8th to August 24th. And this was the first time that China had hosted the Olympics, and the first time it was in a capital city from a Asian nation in a long time, since 1988 in Seoul. So it was a little different to have China hosted it, as mostly they had been just participants, not the host city. And then the next Olympics took place in 2010 in Vancouver, Canada. And Vancouver is an island that is in the southwest part of Canada, which almost borders the United States, but it's on the northern, it's north of the U.S., but south of Canada. So it's like right here on the island. It was on the whole island near its capital city, Victoria, British Columbia, which is the province that it is part of. And this Olympics took place from February 12th to February 28th, 2010. The next Olympics took place in 2012 in London in the United Kingdom. It took place from July 27th to August 12th, 2012. And this marked the first time a city had hosted the Olympics for a third time, as London had previously hosted the Olympics in 1948 and 1908. So this was the first time that had happened. The next Olympics took place 2 years later in Sochi, Russia, from February 7th to February 23rd of 2014. And this was the first time that the Winter Olympics was in the Caucasus, as Russia hadn't hosted the Olympics since 1980 with the boycott of that Olympics, which was part of the Cold War. But this was the first time that the modern Russian Federation had hosted the Olympics, although now Russia is no longer allowed to compete after the Russian invasion of Ukraine of 2022. The next Olympics was 2 years later in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and this was the first time that a South American country had hosted the Olympics. It took place from August 5th to August 21st, 2016. And Brazil is also one of the largest countries in the world. It was not its capital city. Its capital city is Brasilia, even though a lot of people think Rio its capital. It's not its capital. The next Olympics took place 2 years later in Pyeongchang in South Korea from February 9th to February 25th, 2018. And this was the first time that The city had hosted the Olympics, of course, but it's also the second time South Korea had hosted the Olympics back in 1988 and had previously hosted it 30 years prior. But it was the first time that Korea was officially unified together as a host country. So technically it was just South Korea, but North Korea also claimed that it was part of the host nation as well. The next Olympics took place 3 years later in 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and the Olympics were in Tokyo, Japan from July 23rd to August 8th, 2021, as I mentioned, had been postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But the Olympics still carried on and continued in a wonderful fashion, and its capital city, Tokyo, which is a wonderful and beautiful city and the largest city in the world, the Olympics still marched on. And then the next year, which was only 6 months, was in Beijing, China, which had been the first city to host the Olympics for both the Summer and the Winter Olympics. As it was its second time hosting it, and it hosted it now from February 4th to February 20th of the same year. And Beijing had one of the most important positions as being a capital, of course, but also being that having that honor. The next Olympics took place 2 years later, back in Europe, in Paris, France, which took place from July 26th to August 11th, 2024. And this was the third time that Paris had hosted it. It had previously hosted it a century earlier in 1924, and 24 years before that in 1900. So this was the second city to host it for a third time, the other one being, of course, London. And the next Olympics is about to take place, as it has not happened yet, but the next Olympics will take place officially in Milano-Cortina in Italy, and it will officially take place on February 6th, and it will close on February 22nd of this year, 2026, in the Italian Alps, as I mentioned, in the cities of Milano and Cortina, but also in other cities as well, that other smaller events and activities will also be taking place. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.